Hello crafties and welcome to a new video. My name is Infinity, and first and foremost, by the time this video posts, it will probably be after the new year, so happy new year everyone. I am back again with a different kind of tutorial. I know I am mostly known to do crochet tutorials, however, I have done a thing that I did not know I could do. My poor fanny pack has ripped apart. So today I'm going to be repairing it. So for things like this, what you're going to need is scissors and a regular sewing needle and some thread, which I have over here. I'm going to use black just to kind of match up with my fanny pack. I do have a new one on the way, but it wouldn't hurt to repair this one. So what I'm going to do first is take the strap of my fanny pack and somewhat try to straighten it out, making sure it's not twisted on either end, in which I do not have the camera stand still for this. So now all this fraying is no good. It's just no good. So what I'm going to do is fold it over maybe an inch, maybe half an inch, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I'm going to kind of make a crease there to keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do next is kind of put this to the side. Oops. Put that to the side. And what I will do is thread my needle. Now, if you're like me, you can either use the old school method if it's your personal item, or you can have something with some water or condensation, some sort of moisture, and just thread your needle like so. And pulling that through. And you probably want to thread your needle with more than what you actually need, just to make sure you can get that good seam in there. So I'm just eyeballing it. I have plenty. And what you're going to do with your moisturized finger, I'm going to do that right there. I am going to wrap the thread around my finger, hold it between my thumb and my index finger, and I'm just going to kind of roll it down until it forms this sort of messy knot at the end. Little old sewing trick. And I'm going to clip these ends. Please excuse any background noise. I do have a very loud little brother. Alright, so now what you're going to do first of all with this is you're going to latch this down. So I have it folded over, and I'm going to start not really close to these frays right here, but somewhere in the middle. I'm just going to put that through there. And since I used a color of thread that is close to the material that's being repaired, I don't really have to worry about which side I thread my thread through. And what I'm going to do here is just kind of make a knot with that to secure it. And I'm going to begin weaving in and out. And that's pretty much it. Making sure I pull that and secure that nice and tight. Try to keep these little frays out of your threading so it doesn't look messy. And this is where it helps to be a crafty person and a college student, because you're always on a budget. So you always kind of need to know how to fix things. Plus, it's just nice to know how to fix things. And going in and out. Now, these don't necessarily have to be the professional straight line kind of stitches, considering it is by hand, and considering the similar colors. You can just kind of weave this in and out as haphazardly as you'd like. Obviously, you want to make sure that your stitches, the thread isn't really pulling out or looping anywhere, fraying it at all, so that it looks at least mildly neat, somewhat slightly mediocre, things like that. And I know I'm so sorry that the things that I decide to wear or repair are always black or some dark color. It's what my wardrobe is. Contrary to popular belief, that sweater, my Joseph sweater, is not what my wardrobe consists of, rather. Alright. And if you're paranoid like I am, once you get to the end of this, you can make that same kind of knot that you did at the beginning. And kind of yank on it, not hard enough to break your yarn, obviously. If you're heavy-handed like me, that's so easy to do. But just make a couple knots to secure it. Okay. And to me, this is good enough. Now, if you wanted to go back across here, you could to reinforce that. But for today, I am not. This is a quick patch job until my new fanny pack gets here. So, this is what I have. Either way, when you get ready to repair this, you want to make sure that, oops, static. You want to make sure that you end on a edge, because you're going to be reattaching it right about here or wherever your item has snapped off at. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to get my big scissors for this. What I'm going to do first is kind of snip some of this fraying off, because it's going to drive me wild. Ugh. And because we secured part of this down with the previous sewing job we just did, we shouldn't have to worry about this too much, snipping it. Now, if you didn't do a good sewing job, then you might have to worry about it. But that looks so much neater, in my opinion. Just gonna put that to the side. Now, what I'm gonna do is make sure that my strap is not twisted. So it's gonna take some moving around, but that's okay. And now that I'm sure it's not twisted, what I'm gonna do is find my needle again, and I'm gonna put this needle, like, you made a loop here essentially when you tack down this side. So what I'm gonna do is put this straight down through that little side right there. And this is not the best way to do things, but it's my way. So, you know, if this doesn't work for you, and it also helps to use a good thread. I think the thread I use is a Coats brand thread. So if you're regularly a crocheter or a knitter, you might be familiar with the crochet thread or even Red Heart brand yarn. That is the same company, Coats and Clark. So what you're gonna do, make sure you have a decent needle. This is 100% leather, so what I'm gonna do is kind of try without hurting my hand to put that through there. Just kind of jam it through. And if you have a thimble, that would probably work great for you, because you're gonna want to, like, make sure you don't hurt your hand trying to thread this through. But usually the first time is the hardest time. So we're just gonna pull that through there. You see, the reason I didn't use embroidery floss or anything extreme like that is because it would be hard to pierce through this material. But of course, if you're using a different material or trying to sew together or reattach something that's of a lighter, kind of less thick material, then you can use kind of whatever kind of needle you need. And I'm just going to make sure that I make these stitches relatively close together and kind of weave in and out. I'm going to pause the video here, and I'm going to sew across, and I'll meet you back when I get to the end. Alright, crafties, so I'm back here. As you probably watched the time lapse, I have sewn back and forth all the way across here. Now you see when I doubled back and went back, that last stitch, it looks a little loose right there. So we're just going to pull that nice and tight so that it's flush against this part, the leather part. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go back in with another kind of loop around stitch. I'm not that familiar with sewing terms, I just do it. So kind of push that through there, and I'm sure as you saw during the little time lapse, I used my desk as a hard surface because I stabbed myself with my needle earlier. That was not fun. So I have forced my needle through my material, and I have this huge loop here. And what I'm going to do is just take this needle, put it through the loop, and when I pull it together, you can see that it forms a knot. So what I'm going to do is also try to go under that stitch and tie another knot the same way. If I can not get my needle confused, and just pull that nice and tight. Make sure there are no loose kind of ends, and if you want that added security, you can go through the leather just once more and pull it through. Now what I am going to do, because I like that added security, and considering I tore through the professional stitching, I'm going to go underneath all my threads so that I come out on the other end. And I'm going to pull that through, add some security there, and I'm going to kind of secure it on the other side as well, using that same methodology. And just cinch that close. And for that last little, thing to clear my paranoia, I'm just going to stick it through the leather again, but make it come out on the back side so that it's nearly invisible. When I sew my seams together, I like to have a lot of added sort of security with them. But that's just me, because I'm not per se a professional seamstress like my grandmother is, but I just know enough to get by. Which I hope that will change in the future. I would like to learn how to sew professionally. That'd be nice. So now that I've secured that well enough, or to my standard, what I'm going to do is bring back my handy fray check. Or liquid stitch if you have it, but it's basically to stop the fraying on the fabric. It's fabric glue, and I use it a lot on my hats. So before I snip my yarn, I am first of all just going to put a little dab over this knot. And you don't have to be excessive with fray check the way that I sometimes am, but if you want that little added sense of security, I totally recommend it. And I'm just kind of running it across where I know I put the stitches, and for the most part it'll dry clear. You might have a white spot here and there, but making sure those stitches are nice and stable. And now I feel secure in snipping my thread, just like so. And I can cast that to the side. And so that pretty much concludes this sort of quick fix tutorial. Maybe sometimes I'll do more tutorials like this. If you guys like that, let me know down in the comments. Give this video a big thumbs up if you found it helpful. But yeah, I'm tugging on that bad boy, and it's good to go because I'm gonna need this tomorrow. Yeah, so until next time, happy making, crafties.